All right, we are being joined right now by Dr. Johnny Wise, an assistant professor of pediatrics at University of Louisville, also the best dressed guy at the SOT conference this year. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity.
Fascinating topic here, talking about the impacts of toxins and aging. Why is it so important in your mind that we learn more about that impact on the population?
Lifespan differences is something that's part of the NIH mission, but a lot of, especially when we talk about the geriatric side, a lot of that's been ignored in toxicology because geriatrics are considered, at the end of their life, close to death. That toxicology is not as much of a concern, but we're facing an aging crisis where in 7 years now, 2030, 20% of our population is going to be geriatric. And not only that, but they're going to live as geriatrics for another 30, 40 years, because average lifespan has increased 70 years in the last 100 years. So that's enough time for someone to be exposed to something and develop cancer or neurodegenerative disease or cardiovascular disease or something like that. So we really need to know a lot more about the age side of toxicology.
Why can toxins affect older people differently than children, let's say?
So broadly speaking, children have a developing biology, adults have a mature biology, and geriatrics have a degenerating biology. So that's three different contexts for a chemical to interact. And we already know that children and adults have different responses. Geriatrics, we know a little bit, mostly about polypharmacy, and a little bit about heat stress or air pollution. But again, it's largely unknown. And there are no regulations to protect them as a vulnerable population from environmental toxins.
You mentioned something called toxic aging coin in your session. Explain that, please.
So this is a term that I came up with to kind of grasp the two-sided challenge that we're facing. On the head side, we talk about the age differences that I just mentioned, young versus middle-aged versus geriatric. On the tail side, we talk about how chemicals accelerate aging, about how they act as a gerontogen. This is a term that was coined in 1987 by George Martin. Hasn't really been used since. I mean, if you look on PubMed, there's 3 publications in the last 20 years, 30 years. If you look on Google Scholar, there's 70. So it's a really untouched topic, and we don't really know what chemicals are gerontogens. I'm proposing heavy metals as a class of gerontogens, and I'm starting down that path.
And finally, what other exciting things do you have going on up at U of L when it comes to this particular topic?
So to tackle this toxic aging coin, we have a variety of models that we're working with. The core one that we're starting with is a rat model where we have 3 different ages. We're looking at hexavalent chromium in the drinking water. We're also doing work with African turquoise killifish, which is it's about the size of a betta fish, and they have the shortest vertebrate lifespan that we know of. Because they come from ephemeral pools in sub-Saharan Africa, they only live 4 to 6 months from hatching to dying of old age. So that makes a really exciting model for aging studies.
You have a lot of interesting things going on. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure.